Today we're going to review another mock draft. This one's 2 rounds, which is rare these days. This gives us a lot of prospects to look at. Also, at the end of the mock draft, we'll take these prospects and rank them for Dynasty Fantasy Football rookie drafts, Superflex style, so you get the value on the quarterbacks and see where these running backs and wide receivers fit in with each other. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. This is a one-man show here. I do the editing, I do the filming, and we're on a handshake agreement right here where I put out the videos, I put out the content. You just smash that subscribe button, and we're good to go. Everything's even Steven. But let's go up to the CBS mock here. Let's take a look here. 2 rounds. This is written by a guy named Ryan Wilson. I don't know who he is, but we're going to find out what he's about today. Let's see what this mock has in store for us. I'm excited to look at this. So round 1, Bears fade QB and Bryce Young to the Texans. We see that in a lot of mocks, probably about 90% of them. It's either Young or Stroud. Pretty much can put that in the bank, and I can really see that happening. I really love that Stroud here is being mocked to the Colts. I think this is a great fit for him. If anything, this is where I really want him to go. He's got Jonathan Taylor. We got some pieces. We know from recent years that these guys are really willing to invest at wide receiver and other positions. So that is something I want to see with Stroud. And plus, it's indoors, not too far from Ohio State. So we got some familiarity with the area. So moving on down here, Will Levis to the Raiders. We've seen this in a lot of mock drafts. Of course, Derek Carr gone, and they're just trying to pick up the pieces to get a quarterback here. I feel like this is going to be a dumpster fire situation. It's not a good look. Levis has been very up and down, makes a lot of bad decisions. Devontae Adams isn't going to be there forever. I don't see this going good, especially for a volatile quarterback like this. I'm very scared of this. Will Levis to the Raiders is not a good look for me. Anthony Richardson to the Panthers. I like that he's getting draft capital here at 10th overall. I really do. I think that's great. However, looking at this, he is still a very scary prospect. I hope they give him a long leash. I hope they're not drafting him, hoping that they get something out of him right now, because that would be very detrimental to his development. I feel like he needs some time. I think he needs a ton of time. I think he's very risky. There are some instances you look and he's missing guys in the flat, simple passes. They're running it on 3rd and 7 instead of just letting him do the thing. So there's some things in his profile here that's scary. I like that he's up here getting drafted at 9 overall, not 10 overall. I like that. He's still a scary prospect. Jordan Addison. You know what? My take on this is still the same. If he's being linked with Bryce Young or CJ Stroud, any of those big 3 wide receivers here as the top guy off the board to the Texans, I look for this wide receiver to have some time to develop where you can catch him at a discount maybe later in Dynasty. That being said, he's also carrying 12 overall draft capital as well, and he's got a quarterback here that's very quick, mental processor, making decisions, accurate. So not a horrible landing spot. Could turn around on itself, but it might take some time. The value might be there a little later, but again, he's still a good prospect. Good breakout aids, good market share metrics. Now we're looking at Quentin, Johnston to the Patriots. Everybody's going to hate that. The thing about that, he's still got that talent, still got the speed, still got the upside. He's still not the safest wide receiver of the top 3, maybe of all the top guys, maybe top 5 or 6, however you want to rank those guys. Might not be the safest. His upside's there. Another wide receiver here that you might be able to catch at a discount later, just because the Patriots' offense doesn't have that volume. A lot of people are going to compare him to N'Keal Harry. I've seen that on the internet. Totally different players. Quentin Johnston, if he's going to bust, he'll bust in a different way. If he's going to hit, he's going to hit in a different way. Just totally different. They got size, I guess. But Quentin Johnston here, I feel like you're going to catch him at a discount later here on the Patriots, but you're going to have to pay first-round draft capital. Doesn't mean I hate it. I just know what the market's going to say about that situation. Let me know in the comments, because I know someone's going to say it. Michael Mayer to the Packers here. And this isn't your grandpa's Packers. This isn't got Randall Cobb This hasn't got Jordy Nelson and company. We're not sitting here jonesing for a tight end anymore. We know Aaron Rodgers is about done. This offense is not as lucrative as it once was. We're going to have a transition period. Probably going to have some dark ages, as they should. From this transition period, Michael Mayer to the Packers. And we've seen this mocked a lot. I feel like he's going to get some high dynasty value because of that. I think he's going to be put on a pedestal a bit. But we'll have to wait and see. I don't hate it. I like him kind of as a prospect. I kind of do. But tight ends are going to tight end in Dynasty, and that's the thing about that. I'm not going to go against that until they start changing. Moving down here, we're going after what we need for our Dynasty drafts. Let me know if you hate any of the defensive players. Luke Musgrave from Oregon State to Jacksonville. Being paired with Trevor Lawrence is huge. We've been saying this with the earlier mocks with Mayer, but being paired with Trevor Lawrence is huge for anybody. Lawrence is on the come up. Stud prospect coming out, and now everything's coming together, and you want this offense going forward. You want this. Luke Musgrave, if you're going to have to pay up for one of these tight ends, Luke Musgrave, since he's going to be paired with Trevor Lawrence, is the one you want to do it. I don't recommend it. You still might be able to catch him on the cheap here in a year or two, 2024, 2025. That's the thing about the tight end position. So you may want to count your chips before you make that pick. I can also see him being selected a little later than this too. There's also Dalton Kincaid. For whatever reason, Musgrave went here, but there are some mocks with him in the first round. There is some talk that him jumping up, so I could see that. Next pick, Jaxon Smith-Njigba, and I love it. I think this is a good spot for him, considering they're able to get all these other wide receivers productive one way or another, either through air yards, targets, or sheer production. That's good. That's a good sign to see when you get a player like this involved. You also got Wan'Dale Robinson coming back. Njigba is pegged as a slot guy. I think he can be a little bit more. He's very nuanced. He's very savvy. I think this is a good spot. It's a low-key good spot. I think a lot of people are liking it, though. I think Njigba there is good. But this next pick here, Jalin Hyatt to the Cowboys, the one I don't think is very realistic unless Cowboys are really, really, really going after this. Jalin Hyatt's probably going to be more functional for the NFL than fantasy unless he gets a quarterback that just wants to throw YOLO balls, because that could happen. Good air yards guy, because that's what he's going to get. Air yards, because he's going to be asked to run the 9 routes. Got you speed. He's going to clear it out. Real football-wise, he's going to make things a little easier for CeeDee Lamb. He's going to allow them to stretch it downfield when they need to. Could be productive here in fantasy. Again, air yards, a guy you're going to be chasing DFS. A guy you're going to be chasing week to week per matchup. That's if he's getting snaps, if he's getting targets. That's the type of guy you're going to look into. When I talk about that kind of production, think about like a DJ Chark type of player. Not the same as a one-for-one comparison. I'm talking about how they'd be used in fantasy, where this guy gets a lot of air yards, this guy's getting a lot of targets deep downfield. That's what you're probably going to get out of him if he's functional in fantasy football. Now we got Bijan Robinson going to the Buffalo Bills at 27 overall. That's pretty late. A guy who's considered a generational prospect, and the NFL is just going to let him slide to the Bills. I just don't see that as being realistic. I see this as being like a splash spot to push your mock draft. I really don't see this really happening. I'd be very surprised if he falls this far in the draft. I really would be. Something has to come up for this to happen. Let's be real here. He's got so much hype. You got damn near everything perfect. You got 220-pound back, catches balls downfield, speed, athleticism for days. Got all the metrics behind him. Why would you let him fall this far? Like, I get it. The price of running backs and how they're being valued has changed in the last 5 to 10 years. I've seen that. But you also don't get a running back like this too often. I think 27 is going to be a little late. I think he's going to go a little higher than this. I think someone's going to move up to get him. They're not going to let the Bills draft him. Someone's going to have to move up. Or he's going to be drafted higher than you think. That's what I want to think. Especially when people are talking about this is a draft that's not very strong at some of the top positions here. O-line, D-line, defense. That's what big media is trying to tell me. And if that's the case, big media believes it and the NFL believes it, you could see a top prospect like this who's considered generational, top tier last 10 years, let's just say that, getting drafted a little higher than damn 27 overall. I think we need to stop mocking him so low. I think he's going to go a little higher. I get other needs and stuff, but it is what it is. I think we're going to be done with the first round. Yep. Let's move to the second round here. This one's going to be quick because just names here, no big blocks to look at. Jahmyr Gibbs to the Cardinals. They do have an opening at running back. James Conner can't hold it down for too long. It just can't happen. Pick 34. That seems about right, draft capital. Late first, early second. That just seems about right. You catch the ball in the backfield. This team's transitioning. They may not decide to go running back, but I'm not here to analyze the mock draft, really, unless they do something crazy. But Jahmyr Gibbs to the Cardinals, I can see that working in fantasy. I can also see him being discounted because he's going to the Cardinals. I think this is a good situation. Any situation for a running back where you can really paint the narrative where they get opportunity is a good situation because opportunity is really what matters. And if you're good, you're going to take over unless the offensive line is straight putrid. If the quarterback's straight putrid. But if you're super good, then you're going to be all right at least. Moving down here. Hope I don't miss any guys. Hendon Hooker here at 40. Looking at him, that's an interesting spot. Early second round. We don't talk about much of Hendon Hooker come back from the ACL injury. Guaranteed probably going to sit this season out. Maybe come back late. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I'm not an orthopedist. I've seen him working out a little bit. Doing throws off his knees and stuff like that. But going to the Saints is interesting. You got Chris Olave. They like to chuck it downfield. They like to build around the offense. They do not have the cap room to consistently invest at the quarterback position. This could give him a year to develop. Also, 25 years old. Next year, he'll be 26. Starting to get up there already for a rookie. But that being said, when you look at him versus some of the other riskier quarterbacks in the first round, I'm looking at you, Will Levis. I'm looking at you, Richardson. Man, he's cheaper. It's cheaper. And the fallout could be the same. It's cheaper. I can see where he can come back and do something. I could definitely see that. And it makes sense. After this is Zay Flowers to the Titans. NFL-wise, I see it because you got a guy who can stretch the field and work his way in the slot, and you got Treylon Burks who can kind of feed off each other. That makes a lot of sense. Them drafting Quentin Johnston and a few other mock drafts that we saw about a month ago, that doesn't make sense. This makes sense. I kind of feel like Zay Flowers might go a little higher, but that might be all talk. So him going to the Titans at 41 seems like a good deal here. Dalton Kincaid to the Jets. Interesting spot considering Conklin did some things. Invest in tight end in last year's draft in the third round. Kincaid can help them out. Can be used in the passing game. Quarterback's going to be interesting. Jets have been a dumpster fire for almost my entire life. Going to have to see this one out. Again, tight ends are going to tight end. I was excited for Kincaid in some spots considering he was going late first round in some mock drafts. Him going to the Jets here in the second round, that could be interesting. But if he's getting snaps and he's cheap in rookie drafts, because this is going to drive down his price a good bit, then you might want to look out for that because evidently routes and cheap capital, it's fine. But what the hell? Packers go back-to-back at tight end. They go back-to-back at tight end here. They draft Darnell Washington in the second round after drafting Mayer in the first round. Darnell Washington, athleticism for days. And then you got Mayer. Like, what are you doing here? Like, you're going to have a transition at quarterback. So if you're going to bring in another quarterback, and it may not be this year, maybe next year, the year after, whatever. We'll have to see when he gets out of the dark room. But looking at this, when you try and bring in another quarterback, you'll be like, hey, guess what? We got two young tight ends. We got two guys. Which one's going to hit here? Because you're not really going to know. Darnell Washington could hit in the right situation. Mayer could hit in the right situation. In theory, if you're trying to do the Gronk Hernandez deal, maybe, but that ain't ever going to happen again. You're not going to hit on two tight ends. Hitting on one tight end is hard enough. The odds is ridiculous. I think this guy did this mock draft and forgot he gave the Packers a tight end. I think he forgot he mocked Michael Mayer to the Packers. That is going through my head. I think he just forgot. I think he did the first round one day and did the second round another. And just didn't look at either of the rounds once he finished them. That's what happened here. I can't look at this real. Has anyone ever drafted a tight end in first and a tight end in the second? I know the Ravens like to double up on tight end, but usually it's one early and one middle rounds. And usually the one in the middle rounds hit the most. The guy who's drafted second. Or the second tight end they drafted. Because they drafted two tight ends last year. that's just a thing here. They really paid up on tight end in this mock. That's totally not realistic, but it is what happened. Roschon Johnson, 2nd round. And think about this. I hear a lot of stuff that he's going to get drafted higher than expected. I see that. There's also a lot of running backs on the board that could go over him. But looking at him to the Lions, Jamal Williams did incredible last year. Johnston getting those goal line touches. DeAndre Swift, a good pair. And if Swift gets a season injury or whatever, or he gets hurt again, Johnston could step in. I think this could be a good value. And fills in well there. You got the power back who got some wiggle there. Good size. This could be a good spot for him. That's an underrated spot for Roschon Johnson. If you don't have Jamal Williams anymore, I think that's an underrated spot at a good price. There's other players on the board, of course. But then I'm already seeing it. This dude just loves the Senior Bowl. Tyjae Spears to the Dolphins, 51 overall. This dude went to the Senior Bowl and just fell in love. He just fell in love. That's it. This is the Senior Bowl love mock draft. This is what this is. Tyjae Spears, because we got some jumpers here at the running back position. We have a bunch of other running backs that we mock, and ahead of these guys, every single week we do the rankings. Every single week. And I'm looking down this list, and I can tell this guy's doing some tricky things. But Tyjae Spears, from a fantasy perspective, we know he's explosive. We know he can catch the ball in the backfield. We know the Dolphins are trending up, which is a good thing to look at. Tua's trending up whenever he's healthy. You got some speed there. This could work out. I don't hate Tyjae Spears. I actually like him. That's the thing. It's just the order of things. It's just the price of things. It's just the opportunity cost of things. And just seeing a dude just pull a trick bag over us when he's doing his mock draft. It's nothing against you, Tyjae Spears. I promise. But if you're going to pull that on us, if you're going to pull this on us, and again, you're doing this in the 2nd round too, where you don't have to explain anything. You don't have to explain anything about the opportunity cost of other players left on the board. We got Josh Downs to Seattle, 52 overall. That might be where he goes in the draft. I feel like he might be selected maybe a little earlier. Productive, young, got good numbers. Might be slept on a bit in this draft. I feel like this placement with Seattle, though, is kind of sexy. I feel like him and DK Metcalf can work really well together. 2 different pieces on the offense. I think that's a good spot for him. Draft cap was 2nd round-ish. Probably high part of the 2nd round. I see him going a little higher than 52 overall. This next pick, which I get, you're going to have some jabroni picks. So maybe that is kind of accurate, but this is a jabroni pick. Tyler Scott to the Bears. And maybe this is a Bears pick. Maybe it was like, this is something the Bears would do. Tyler Scott, slot receiver, small guy, not super productive. He's got some speed, can burn the track. I guarantee this guy's just trying to get a little sexy with his draft here, just trying to be a little contrarian, because I ain't drafting this guy over Kayshon Boutte. I'm not drafting him over Mims. I'm not drafting him over those guys. However, I do see drafts where this rando receiver goes in the 3rd, rando receiver goes in the 2nd. We get that every year. This could be it. So I can't say it's not realistic, but it's not realistic. It's not it. And I'm sorry, Bears fans, that happens. Moving on down here. No skill positions until we get to Devon Chain to the Eagles. And they're kind of in a spot where they can be flexible, where they can do some things. I think this is a good area for him to go to. I think him to the Eagles, they can really be creative. Another thing you could say about this, if you want to play devil's advocate, you got McDonald's at home with Quez Watkins, even though they're totally different, but you got your speed guy. It really depends on how you use him. A.J. Brown's going to get targets. Devonta Smith's going to get targets. Goddard's going to get targets. You're going to need another running back. You're going to need a power back because Gainwell's not going to do it. Devon Chain's going to be your change of pace guy. You're going to need to use him at the running back position. You're going to need to get him targets. So really, he's going to have to hit as a home run threat. But with Philly, with their ability to run the ball, with their ability to stretch things out, I think they're in a position where they can take a leap here and add something to the offense to add it to be more dynamic. This could be something that could help them. I think for fantasy-wise, This could be tricky. I think he will get his usage. I think he will get his opportunities. I think he's got the speed to really help out this team and help you out in fantasy. I think PPR is where it's going to be at for him, getting catches out of the backfield. And I think this is going to shoot his stock up a bit too, because he's in a good offense that's going to keep the chains moving. But that's it for this mock draft. And let's head over to the tier maker. We got an extra tier this week because we got extra players and we're going to rank them up. And that's a good thing about this. First tier, and it's the same guy. It's the God tier. It's Bijan Robinson. Don't expect anything else going forward. Bijan Robinson at the top. I mean, the guy is the 5th player off the board in startup drafts right now. He's the RB1. Let him be the RB1, and we're going to do that. You are RB1, especially to Buffalo. I don't feel like he's going to fall this far. There's not really much more I can say. Bijan's going to Bijan. He's a good running back prospect. Generational talent, maybe once a couple every 10 years type of talent. That's more like the real way to say it. But Bijan Robinson's the guy that we're chasing. Everybody's chasing him. And Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, Jahmyr Gibbs, and I'm going to throw in Jaxon Smith-Njigba. I'm freestyling a little bit here, just having some fun. I just love the landing spot here for Jaxon Smith-Njigba. Usually if he goes to a lesser landing spot, I'll downgrade him a bit, but this might make the rest of the rankings make a little bit more sense. Jahmyr Gibbs, running back position, second one off the board, high-end second-round draft capital. You can see a narrative where he asserts himself as one of the top running backs. Super flex value all day for Bryce Young. I think he's very cerebral. I think the Texans probably do pull the trigger on him. I think he's a smart quarterback, manipulates the pocket well. I think this is a great spot for Stroud. You can flip him, flop him. I'd probably diversify between those two 50% of the time. It's straight even split because I like both of them. I think Stroud in Indy, in the Dome with Jonathan Taylor, I love that. And then, of course, once these three, Bijan, Bryce, Stroud, are off the board, you're going to get a mix of JSN and Jahmyr Gibbs. You're already catching that on ADP without landing spots. These are good landing spots considering draft capital, and that's what we're going to roll with. Tier B. Now things are getting interesting because nothing I have here is played out, so I'm freestyling. Jordan Addison, Quentin Johnston. What I'm rolling out here is the draft capital. I don't really love the landing spots too much, but Jordan Addison, Bryce Young, those guys are going to marinate with each other. If Young hits, Addison hits. If Young doesn't hit, Addison could still probably hit. And I think you can catch Addison at a discount later. Same with Quentin Johnston. I think pretty sure on that. I don't think the volume's going to be there unless he super hits and he just goes bananas. And that's why you kind of got him valued still high just because of that. And things get a little wonky here due to the draft capital of the other players. And then I'm going to start things off with C tier, and then I'm going to build off of it because things get kind of weird in this draft. So I've been contemplating about Will Levis, Anthony Richardson. Let's get him up there. And then Hendon Hooker enters the chat. And draft capital here is not like it. ACL is not there. But these guys are hella risky. And the risk is high. The price tag's high too. Hendon Hooker's going to be cheaper. Like you can say put him down here. But really, what's the difference? You're going to have to wait a year on this guy, Anthony Richardson. You're more than likely going to have to. Will Levis to the Raiders. You might get a functional starter, just a guy to throw in for fantasy. Who knows what that leash is going to look like. Let's just keep Hooker here, and let's figure him out as we go along. Now, Tier C, we got some good wide receivers. We got Jalin Hyatt, Zay Flowers, Josh Downs. We got that 3-pack right there. We got a 3-pack and a soda. The thing about this is we got super flex value with these guys, and we have Zay Flowers and Josh Downs with very good profiles. I want to move them up. Just right now with how I feel. I want to move them up because I feel safe with them. The thing about Zay Flowers, 41 overall to the Titans. I feel like I can probably catch him at D-tier price tag, but I get the talent. Thing about Hyatt is he went in the first round. So you got that first round draft capital. Michael Gallup, how well is he coming back from the ACL year 2? Also, are they going to sling it deep? Because they will sling it deep. They do get in the shootouts. CeeDee Lamb's going to get 25 to 30% target share. Dalton Schultz, if they re-sign him, will get a target share. I think he was pushing around like 18% last year. They do want to push it a little bit more deep. I don't see this as a real destination. That being said, you got him with Dak Prescott, and he's got a better quarterback, and the draft capital is not too far off from these guys. However, you can make the case, breakout age, production, breakout age, production, productive. 1 year production. First round draft capital, though, with Jalen Wyatt going to the Cowboys. You also got the Cowboys pump up 2. And then also, do you want to draft those 3 wide receivers over these quarterbacks? That's why they're in a tier off on that way. So you got to say, if it wasn't for draft capital separation between these guys would be up here probably. And he'd be up here. We got a little draft capital situation. And there's a difference between 26 and being drafted 15 or higher as a wide receiver too. So I want to keep that in mind. Now we're going to throw in some running backs. I'm going to throw them all in here at tier D real quick. And then we're going to work our way through it, mental processing this. So Roschon Johnson, drafted in the second round. That being said, in this scenario, Jamal Williams can't be there. He just can't be. So that means he's getting an opportunity. Might be getting Jamal Williams production later. Let's move him up here. Move him up somewhere middle of these quarterbacks. Somewhere around there. Just throw him in there. It's a tier, not a rank. So that's how that is. I think Devon can be sneaky. I think he's got that upside. Let's throw him in there. Tyjae Spears. I think because he's a running back and he can catch the ball in the backfield, he's explosive, and he's proven to be productive, you're going to have to throw him there, and he's on a good offense that is creative. You can't sleep on that. There's other running backs that should be on this list, and that would push things down and manipulate things a little different, but we got to work with what we got to work with here. Then we have Hendon Hooker, but you're going to have to take a year off with him, probably be 26 if he gets the opportunity to ever start, so you're going to have to wait on him. So he's at deer. So E tier, let's throw the tight ends in. Let's throw them all in. There's the tight ends. Look at this. Look how stupid that looks. We weren't doing 2 rounds. We already got 2 tight ends for the package. Look how stupid that looks. That looks stupid. Oh, yeah, Tyler Scott's not a tight end. We ain't pumping his ass up. We're keeping him down there. Luke Musgrave's going up. Good situation. Paired with Trevor Lawrence. We're going to keep him there. Can I fix tier C to make it less jumbled up? One thing I can say is first round pick here. Jalin Hyatt can go with B. Maybe I'll call him like a lesser B. Maybe I could do that. Flowers and Downs need to be together. Superflex value needs to be somewhere in here. And then the running backs. I don't know. I can't really say that Spears and Luke Musgrave are kind of close. Same with Devon I can't say that. We got second round draft capital on the running backs. All the other running backs fell for a reason. Zach Charbonnet and many other running backs. All these running backs fell. And these guys got selected over them. Must be for a reason in this pretend real-world mock draft. Capital matters for running backs. So until we get that information, they got to stay there. Maybe they get pushed down a little bit when the other running backs get drafted in the early third round because they have to be popping off the board. But this is what we got. I feel kind of confident here. Tyler Scott, if I had a Z tier, I'd probably put him in there. Low volume passing attack, slot guy. Just really don't understand it. I don't think he's going to be drafted that high. I don't see the Packers drafting 2 tight ends. That's just crazy to me, but that really dilutes their value. I'm not going to pay up for that. Dalton Kincaid, I like him as a prospect to the Jets in the second round. I don't hate it. I got him in E tier. You can throw him here, but also the Jets are going to Jets, and I can get him later for cheaper. That's the thing. I can catch him later for cheaper because he's a tight end. I can just play that game later, and I can just pound out other positions. Superflex Hendon Hooker, very interesting here. Almost a C tier. D tier seems right for him. Again, A tier feels solid. S tier feels solid. B tier feels solid. Everything else is falling down the line from there. Let me know in the comments below what you think about this mock draft. What do you think about this dude's mock draft? Make sure you hit that subscribe button on the way out. It's only going to help you for your rookie drafts going forward. I want to thank you for watching. I'll catch you on the next video.